1,000 naira note particularly, and it caused some kind of drama. And the man said he was not going to take that money. There was nothing we were going to say that was going to take that money. So I think it was just bad implementation of the whole process. And we all understand what Nigerians went through.
Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah.
It was really, really a lot. We even had
There
stories
were
of,
queues all over, and people were just
yes,
trying to get cash. People couldn't really do their business
we were
well. It
using
just,
naira to buy naira. That's
yeah.
how. That's
You
how
would use POS like 3,000, charge for like 1,000. It didn't make any sense.
at all. We struggled to
Uh,
understand how in Nigeria we were using naira to purchase the naira.
yeah.
So it for me it was really poorly implemented. And what we are seeing now,
Hmm.
we are still using old notes. If I
Exactly.
bring my purse now and show you, oh, this is at the currency side, they
Yeah.
are all old notes.
And it's still difficult to get cash to this day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Christiana Amodu-Otinyia, and my channel is all about all things personal development, women empowerment, mental health, life, and culture in Nigeria. And for today, I am talking about being getting in the field of business journalism and also overall the Nigerian economy. And I'm really glad to be speaking with Christiana, who is a business reporter at Trust Media. Am I right?
Okay, I was a Trust Media.
Okay, okay,
Yes,
okay.
I was with Trust TV, but
All right.
now I'm doing more of freelance business
Okay.
journalism.
All right. Awesome. Nice to have you here.
It's good to be
So
here.
first of all, let's just discuss how you sort of you got started in journalism because I knew her from I didn't really know her, but when I was in AIT, I sort of knew she
Yeah.
was around and they were under Nancy and there was like a team of them of doing like business
Sure.
reporting. Like tell me a
Yeah.
little bit about your start.
Okay, normally if someone asks you, oh, what part of journalism do you want to go into? I would say,
Yeah.
oh, I want to go into entertainment. I want to speak about
Yeah.
Beyonce. I want to
Yeah.
do all of that. But
Yeah.
then again, I like you rightly mentioned, I
Hmm.
started my career with
Yeah.
Moneyline with Nancy
Yeah.
on AIT. Started as a very, very greenhorn, actually.
Okay.
Started as a greenhorn, didn't know so much, and grew from there. Like you
Okay.
mentioned, we were a team of very young people working with Moneyline with
Yeah.
Nancy at that time. And it was not the easiest experience, I must also say,
Okay.
because given the background, I studied literature in English.
Really? So
Yes.
I another English lit major. I didn't know that.
Yes,
Wow.
I studied
Awesome.
literature in English, Usman Danfodio University, and
Okay. Wow.
I have a diploma in journalism from the International Institute of Journalism. So I felt, oh, coming into AIT, oh, maybe I want to be casting news. There's a whole lot of
Yeah.
razzmatazz around that. But then I got into business journalism.
Mm-hmm.
So there was stock market, there was GDP, there was inflation, there was
Yeah.
unemployment rate, and these things looked very new and alien to me.
Okay.
But along the line, I'm also very grateful for guidance. My
Yeah.
boss at that time, she was able to like mold a lot of us, give us the knowledge, although you still had to go and do your own research, of course.
Okay.
Just that would
Sort of
not.
like provided mentorship to
Yes,
you.
she provided mentorship for that whole
Yeah.
process. So we got into it, got into the fire, got burnt, got burnt, and learned the whole process. And I started. That was just the beginning for me,
Okay.
and occasionally I anchored the program Moneyline with Nancy. It was not the easiest experience. I remember
Yeah.
the first day I was on air and I got thrown into the fire basically because my first program was a live program on television.
Wow.
That was the first time I was going on TV. Of course, I had gone on TV, I think one time to discuss about a particular report I worked on. So got on TV, my hands were shaking, I was sweating
Uh-uh.
amidst the
But she looks
AC.
so professional. She does it sometimes at home when she was on AIT and I was like, this girl is serious and focused. I'm
I
surprised.
know, right? And I remember
Yeah.
I interviewed the late Dr. Obadiah Milafia, the former deputy governor of CBN, and Dr. Tochuku then. So it was like, oh, what am I going to say? And AIT is like home for all the veterans of the veterans.
Yeah.
So I was like, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? But after that experience, I think it was good for me.
Yeah.
It was really good for me because then I started building from there.
Yeah.
So I anchored Kakaaki business segment, as you already know, for over a year, myself and Henry Somchi. I
Yeah.
hope Henry gets to see this video. And it was a tag team that it was really helpful. So
Okay.
business journalism, if you want to come into business journalism, I
Mm-hmm.
must say, First and
Yeah.
foremost, it's not just reading news.
Okay.
There's a whole lot of numbers that get thrown in your
That you have
face.
to analyze.
Exactly. And you have to read.
Okay.
Let me give you an example. For instance, there was a time I was on air and I called some figures that were not so
Accurate.
accurate. Exactly. So someone called the producer at that time and said, "Oh, tell this lady that's not really the correct thing."
Oh.
And when it came to me, I felt disappointed in myself, of course, because I know before I go on air, I try to study everything I need to study, go through my script over again. If a report was released probably a day before or 2 days before, I go through the report.
Yeah.
And I was also lucky to have experts I could always call, economists I could always reach out to or
Okay.
explain to me, what does this
Yeah.
mean? What does this mean? So the turf is come correct.
Yeah.
I must say, come correct, because the
They
moment,
don't really allow you to make mistakes like that, or else
yeah,
you're really called out
exactly,
on it. Okay.
exactly. So if GDP is 2.3%, you can't go on air and say GDP is 3.2%.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So that's like changing the entire meaning of the whole process. So business journalism for me, exciting. It's always going to be my niche.
Okay.
It's always going
Even
to
though
be.
you didn't plan to actually, because I actually
Yes.
thought that that was something you knew you
Oh
wanted initially.
no, oh no, not at all. I did not plan at all to get into the business journalism stuff. I didn't plan at all. So if you want to get into business journalism as
Yeah.
probably a budding journalist and you feel, oh, I want to go into business journalism,
Yeah.
it's very essential that you understand that, oh, there's going to be a lot of numbers. There's going to be a lot of analysis.
Yeah.
So it's not like politics that you can just come and say, "Oh, this is what it is,"
Yeah.
and
Talk about your opinion and stuff like
exactly
that.
give your opinions. Thank you for that. Now it's not a matter of your opinions; it's a matter of coming out with
Yeah.
the facts and the figures. Because then again, in a bid to try to maybe humanize the numbers, try
Yeah.
to, oh, the woman going about selling her wares or the man going about selling his wares, they might not understand that, oh, the International Monetary Fund is saying that Nigeria's economy will grow by 3%. Then you have to understand that now, as a reporter or as a journalist in the business beat, you have to then bring it close to home, make them understand that, oh, this and this and this is what it entails. It's a very interesting
Yeah.
niche, I must say, especially in journalism. I dare
And I
to,
think it's a unique niche for like a
yes,
woman to go
yes, I
into.
agree with you. Very, very unique. So I recommend, I highly recommend for
Yeah.
anyone that really wants to take on challenges. Not
Yeah.
saying that
Other forms
other
of
other
journalism. Those of us that are doing lifestyle, personal
exactly.
development. Me,
Not
I like Beyonce.
not saying that other parts don't come
Yeah.
with their own challenges, but
Yeah.
like you said, business is unique and it's
Yeah.
very peculiar.
Awesome. Well done. And I want us to really get into the Nigerian economy. And
Mm.
this year, I'm sure all of us that are here in Nigeria know that things haven't been easy. We had the new Naira notes. Everybody
Mm.
was excited, and then before we knew it, everybody was now scrambling for money, trying to get cash.
Yeah.
And then we were now told we now had to use the old Naira notes. All of this just really turned out to be a mess. And I wanted to know, like, your analysis of the whole situation. Was it actually a good decision for us to actually get new Naira notes? What was the outcome of it? What's the impact of it?
I remember when the announcement was made by the CBN governor,
Mhm.
then, oh, we're going to get new notes. I know you must have seen the reactions that followed.
Yeah.
Very, very mixed reactions, I must
Yeah.
say. Some called it blue notes, some called it
Died.
died,
Tie
some called
dye.
it Omo notes.
Hey.
Even the CBN governor, I think one time when he was being interviewed in Katsina State, he said,
Mm.
on the lighter note though, he said the died note or whatever it is we decide to call it
Yeah.
would be in circulation. And there was some sort of excitement, I think, after
Yeah, a little bit.
a little bit, let me say, a little bit. I think overall for me, it was a good policy that was implemented poorly.
Okay.
I think that's if I want to put it in one sentence, that's what it would be, because if such policies want to, the reasons that the CBN governor gave, then I think they were very, very laudable: end corruption,
Mm.
hoarding of cash, vote buying
Okay.
by politicians, ending counterfeiting
Okay.
also by Nigerians rather. Because I remember one time I was also in the market and somebody gave one of the traders the new Naira notes and he had to hold it up to the sun some sort of way, and he discovered that it was actually the old note that was dyed.
You
It was the
see?
1,000 Naira note particularly. and it caused some kind of drama. And the man said he was not going to take that money. There was nothing we were going to say that was going to take that money. So I think it was just bad implementation of the whole process. And we all understand what Nigerians went through.
Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah.
It was really, really a lot. We even had
There
stories
were
of,
queues all over, and people were just
yes,
trying to get cash. People couldn't really do their business
we were
well. It
using
just,
Naira to buy Naira. That's
yeah.
how, that's
You
how
would use POS like 3,000, charge for like 1,000. It didn't make any sense.
at all. We struggled to
Uh,
understand how in Nigeria we were using Naira to purchase the Naira.
yeah.
So it, for me, it was really poorly implemented. And what we are seeing now,
Hmm.
we are still using old notes. If I
Exactly.
bring my purse now and show you, oh, this is at the currency side, they
Yeah.
are all old notes.
And it's still difficult to get cash to this day. You're still
Yes,
transferring.
yes.
Yeah.
And even some of the POS merchants, their charges have refused to come down. It's normally
Exactly.
said that in Nigeria, when anything goes up, it is very difficult for such to come down.
Yeah.
And it ended up being a situation of what you are trying to fight, you're not fighting it. Because the elections have come and gone,
Yeah.
and there were no monies literally in circulation. Nigerians struggled. I remembered how I even had to struggle in the marketplace because I had no cash. There was a time I needed to get something for my daughter.
Hmm.
I got to where I was supposed to get it, and they were like, "Madam, if you don't have cash, we are not going to take this POS or transfer.
You
Thank
see?
you." And let's talk about how the banking sector was not prepared for what was going
At
to follow,
all. At all.
especially after the whole implementation
Yeah.
of the
That's why I'm
Naira
wondering, was it worth
redesign.
all the stress, really, at the
And
end of
that's
the
the big
day?
question. That's the big question. Was it what putting Nigerians through all of that? And now we're back to
Exactly.
status quo. Of course,
Yeah.
I don't know if you recall when the Queen Elizabeth, when she died, there was time for new notes were printed with the face of the King
Mm.
Charles, but the time was allocated for both to run concurrently, and there was a gentle phase out.
Yeah.
I remember I interviewed a lot of experts, a lot of economists, but ex-bankers, and one particular sentiment that echoed around all that process was it was poorly implemented. I was speaking to even some microfinance bank holders. What was the level of engagement with these guys? And say, oh, we are redesigning Naira. Tell us what's the best way to go around this? Because you deal with those at the bottom level, those at the grassroots
Mhm.
level. Like you have asked, was it really worth?
Yeah. What would have been the best way for Nigeria to have implemented it so that people wouldn't have just been stranded and it wouldn't have been such a hassle?
I
What do you think would
I
have been the
think the
best way
best way would have been to allow both the new note and the old note to run
to just flow in that? Yeah.
concurrently. Like I
Okay.
don't know if you recall when we got the polymer notes. Did
Hmm.
we have any of these issues?
Hmm.
No, because even when the 100 Naira note was changed to the one we are currently using, nobody even figured that, oh, there was nothing like scarcity at that time. We just knew that at some point we stopped seeing the old 100 Naira note and the new one was just
Was now
what
the
was
only
in
one here.
circulation.
Yeah.
So ideally, it would have made more sense for both the old and the
New
new to
Naira notes here to
to
move. Not just
yes,
telling everybody, like, at
stop.
this point, give your old Naira notes to the banks. You're not going to be
Exactly,
using it. And then,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. Because even if you, in my research about issues around changing of currency or currency redesign, as the
Mhm.
case may be, there was time because the challenge around the redesigning process of Naira was the time frame. Really,
Yeah.
Nigerians, even though there was a whole lot of we don't like this note, I'm not going to use this note, but we will collect the notes.
Yeah.
We need to spend
Exactly.
money. That's like our legal tender. So even after the whole hula baloo around the color, the changing, was it really worth changing? If we had both run the same time, there really
It would
would,
have made things much
yes, it
smoother.
would have
Yeah.
made things smoother, seamless, and there would not be complaints.
Yeah.
Like I know how many reports I had to write back to back, back
And
to back.
everybody was just frustrated. I just felt
Yes,
like, at all the issues that we have in this country, is that really a priority? Is that the main focus? Because at the end of the day, it just
mm-mm.
created more problems. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
thanks for letting me know.
I agree. I agree with you because normally it is said that Nigeria is not devoid of policies. Like we have some of the best policies in the
Yeah.
world, but the bane then comes in implementing these policies to benefit Nigerians,
Yeah.
and that's what really played out with the Naira redesign. And going forward, I was listening to one of Nigeria's foremost economists, and one of the things he said is he hopes lessons have been learned, because this is a transition year, especially for Nigeria in terms of leadership,
Yeah. Having a
presidential
new
level,
president.
National Assembly level,
Yeah.
state levels. So amidst everything that must have happened, let lessons be taken away from this,
Exactly.
because it will make no sense that in 4 years'
And let us
time,
actually learn from our lessons, not just keep making the same mistakes
yes,
over again. Or somebody
yes,
decides something, but we don't actually properly think about
I
the
agree
impact
with
of
you.
things.
I
I
totally
think
agree
that's the
with
issue
you.
with Nigeria. Not, I think there should be like a team, a strategic team, considering like what's going to be the impact of this
Mm-hmm.
before things flop, and then
Thank
everybody is
you.
now trying to say,
Yes,
okay, how do
yes,
we resolve
yes,
this?
yes, yes. I agree with you
Yeah.
totally.
Thanks for letting us know your thoughts on that. And
Yeah.
also, let's also talk about the value of Naira, which
Mm.
is always, should I say it's always declining? Is there hope for the Naira? Should we all just try to be making dollars? Like, tell us
I know,
what.
right? This question you have
Yeah.
asked, I remember sometime I was having a conversation with a colleague, and the question that came up in the editorial meeting there about something, and it was, how do we return the naira back to its glory?
Hmm.
Because that's the question that the editor asked, and we needed to like brainstorm what angles of stories needed to come out from this. Because one thing about the issue of the naira losing its value or losing
Yeah.
its strength is largely dependent on the level of economic productivity
Hmm.
in Nigeria. Now, take for instance, this sounds very cliche, and it was used a lot during the election, but please pardon me to use it. There's a whole lot of consumption going on in Nigeria. We are pro consumption and production is very little. And that's where the pressure begins from. We have more imports, less exports.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
That is
Because
it.
the moment you are able to export more, your currency has more value.
Mhm.
It's like a natural law.
And because we value foreign things also,
Yes,
not
thank
Nigerian
you.
making
There's a
opinion.
thirst for everything foreign.
Yeah.
Oh, because I wear a shoe. Oh, I'm more proud that I'm wearing a Louis Vuitton as opposed to wearing what my brother from Aba is making.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand?
That impacts things a lot.
So
Yeah.
then, that's hung. I remember there was a saying around, made in Nigeria and sold in Nigeria.
Hmm.
So a lot of this that's like that's
We need
where
to bring that back.
yeah. So if we're able to fix the whole issue around building economic productivity, exporting more, let Nigeria
Yeah.
be a market for people to come in.
Exactly.
So that way, the currency becomes strengthened.
Mm-hmm.
And just like the dollar is the currency of the world.
Yeah.
Recently, there was a whole lot of talk around how, I saw that on Twitter, I think, how other economies or other world powers can probably reduce the power that the currency, that is the dollar, that it has. I think China was trying to do something, and there were some other countries also trying to do something. But if we're able to build the productivity in
Yeah.
house,
Within our own country, that
yes,
is it.
in
Yeah.
house, Nigeria is blessed. Like we keep saying it
Everybody
every
says
day.
natural resources,
The
agriculture. We talk
resource,
about that
thank
so
you. The
often. Yeah. But what
resources
are we doing with
abound.
it?
Yes. Now there's been, since the president started, there's been a whole lot of talk. President Buhari, he's leaving, of course,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a whole lot of talk around economic diversification. Like that song has been ringing, that tone has been ringing since it started, and a lot the experts then coined Buharinomics now. And here we are. How do we break away from the oil spell? Recall that a lot of the revenue we get comes from the oil. And also
That is it.
bear in
That's
mind that
Nigeria's biggest
exactly
asset. Yeah.
bear in mind that we do not have control over oil prices. So this is an international commodity. If you look at the price of Brent crude, what we have is Bonny Light, of course. If you look at but the international benchmark for oil is Brent crude. So if tomorrow Brent crude drops, unfortunately, it affects us. And then we do not have buffers to fall back to. So the moment we're able to fix that issue of building productivity in-house, how do we ensure that we return back to the groundnut pyramids, where then we can become competitive, have comparative advantage in all of
Yeah.
this? The palm
With the global
oil,
economy. Yeah.
exactly, the palm oil plantations. I remember then when we were in primary or secondary school, these were the things we were taught. that, oh, Nigeria is blessed, Nigeria is a home of so many resources. Let's not even go into the solid mineral sector. How under-harnessed so many solid minerals, how much can we harness this? So the moment we become more of an exporting country and not an importing country, there's demand for our currency. It's clear mathematics. The currency becomes strengthened. And then the next question is it that those that are at the helm of affairs don't know this? They understand this, but I think there's some sort of political will lacking somewhere to have this implementation done regardless of whatever the consequences will be.
Yeah,
Or maybe
making
some
certain policies, making
yes.
it mandatory that okay, we only have to
Thank
import
you.
made in Nigeria.
Thank you. The CBN has really tried within its powers to see how the Naira can be strengthened. The CBN has supported agriculture so much. We saw what happened with the Anchor Borrowers program, the rice farmers and all of that, although that's a whole different conversation. But the CBN has tried within its power to see, oh, let's even try from our end to give the Naira some strength. But if we are unable to tackle some of these structural challenges that are in-house, we will still see these fluctuations going here and there. And we will see the issue around the parallel market continue to deepen. Like you mentioned when you were asking, should all of us start pushing to earn in dollars? And that's one of the consequences of a weak Naira. Capital flight. People start looking for, where can I should buy dollar and hoard.
Yeah, that is it.
Or invest
at the
in,
end of the day, you feel like this is going to be worth more. Like I need to make sure that I have enough.
Or invest in dollar denominated assets. Now, because of course that will give you more returns. So if these challenges are fixed, I have no doubt, absolutely no doubt that we're going to see a turnaround, especially with the Naira. And now with the Naira, that will equally trickle down to the economy, job creation. We're going to have more people get jobs. We're going to have even trade. See how it's going to trickle around. So it's just,
and more people will be more inclined to actually have hope in the country, because that's the next thing I want to talk about. Everybody says Japa Japa because Nigeria's economy is not good, and unfortunately not everybody has enough money to leave the country. So what can we do actually to fix the economy?
The Japa syndrome.
And this has been going on for years, and we wonder at what point is Nigeria actually going to change? What does it take for us to make a change in this country? Yeah, because like you're so correct, this whole Japa fever, I think the bug has caught a lot of Nigerians, and then we are seeing it's more like an exodus now. I stand to be corrected if you don't agree with me, but a lot of we've lost a lot of manpower. That is it. To sectors are suffering. The banking sector, the health sector. I think the health is the biggest sector that's suffering. Every doctor is ready to leave. Ready to leave. And you wonder, God forbid, something terrible happens and you don't have enough money. You have a conversation with a doctor friend, and the next thing is, I'm applying for this, so I'm applying for that. So then there's a lag. There's a lag in the system. So, like you have mentioned, if the country is working, nobody would want to leave. You would want to leave. I wouldn't want to leave, because I know that systems are in place. And that's why a lot of times when I have conversations with people around issues like this, I harp on the fact that build strong institutions. Don't build strong men. We have a lot of strong men in Nigeria. We do not strong have institutions, because that will last, and somebody can always just go back to the framework, and when you have strong institutions, these institutions will fight back. But when we are investing in building strong men that do not even care about building these institutions, then that way we will lose a good level of the young demography want to leave the country. You'll speak with young undergraduates and they're telling you, oh, I'm searching for scholarships, so I want to leave this country. Like, I know there's nothing that is assured. I want to leave. That's a very sad story. It's a very common narrative. Like, I don't think there's any Nigerian dream, which is a very interesting concept. Thank you for that. I don't think is there really a Nigerian dream? I think the Nigerian dream is to leave. Unfortunately, I remember then I was speaking with a renowned professor in trade. We're speaking about issues around the FCFT, and somehow we got talking about the whole Japa thing. And he said that when he graduated from the university, there were 5 jobs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 jobs waiting for him. He had to select the one he wanted to do. And now
A company puts out a job ad and the portal collapses because of the influx of application from unemployed Nigerians. So I think it's a chain that is interwoven. If the economy works, every other thing is going to work. I remember one time, a lot of people say good politics translates to good economics. So have the right leaders that think about the right policies to put in place, and it will affect the economy. And once it affects the economy, it affects livelihoods. That's just how it goes. The IMF, the African Development Bank, OECD, there's an average of economic growth for Nigeria at 3% thereabouts. And that this is single digits. We cannot remember the last time we did a double digit growth. Okay, we know the COVID-19 pandemic did its blow to global economy. But if we even look at the global economy side by side, the Nigerian economy, Nigeria is seen as an emerging market. Of course, is a developing nation. We can't put Nigeria side by side with the United States of America, China's, and all of that. But there were countries that started on the same level with Nigeria. I think I was reading around in Indonesia or Singapore, thereabout. I am not so sure. But if you see the strides that those countries have attained over the years, and the same space of time, and you then sit down and you think, why are we still where we are? Why are we still having one challenge for over decades? The last time
is it that we don't know the solution, or that people don't want to implement the solution? Which is why I want to go back to what you said about having the right institutions. What does that mean to you? What is the right
for me? I think when you have the right institutions in place, let's take the health sector. For instance, if you have a health system that has what do they call this thing they give doctors? A particular allowance like that they give them in case you get hazard allowance. Thank you. The hazard allowance they give doctors. If you have a right institution, the institution understands that the hazard allowance for each doctor in Nigeria is say 100,000 naira. It is written there. So it's not something. I was speaking with a doctor friend of mine, and he says, I think the hazard allowance, I'm not so sure, but it's not even up to 50,000. So for instance, if you're drawing blood from an HIV patient and you get infected, would something less than 50,000 be able to cover for what you were supposed to do? But if we have a system that whether Mr. A or Mr. B is the health minister, you know that you have to do this. So when we
and
have,
you'll be held accountable if
thank
you know that
there's accountability, there's transparency, and that's what should be at the fore. For me, I think that's what should be at the fore. It should not be about who occupies the office. It should be about that office.
To me, it's as simple as doing what is right. I feel like Nigeria's situation is not that complicated. If we are willing to do things that is right, then we would move forward. Because I always say, I hear stories about, I don't know, I'm very passionate about education, but I feel like, especially in the non-profit world, people give money for certain things to be done, but that money is being taken to something else. And you go to these certain schools where kids are still sitting in the floors and they don't have desks, and you wonder what's going on. People just need to do the right thing in this country, and I feel as though then we would actually progress, then we would move forward, because it's not even just about what is right in this country, and if we invest in our people more, we would actually, make way.
I agree with you, especially that's a very cogent point you have mentioned, investing in people, because I think Nigeria's strongest asset is her people. So, and a good number of these people are very young people, young enterprising people. I must also add, young Nigerians are ready to put their weight behind whatever they want to do, whatever it is they have passion for. So I think invest in the people. You mentioned the education sector. That's the sector we should all be concerned about. We should all be concerned about how we can improve education in the country, because then that's like the basic part. That's the basic part. Everybody wants to get educated. The moment you invest in education, like you have said, not diverting funds from, you are giving to so and so fund to do this, then you use quarter of it to actually implement the work, and then the rest is going into pockets of some people. So like you have mentioned, invest in the people of Nigeria, because the economy is actually the people. The gross domestic product is a sum of economic productivity that has gone around, or that has happened over a particular period of time, and that people carry out that productivity. Productivity is not alien on its own. So it is time to create people-oriented policies.
Yeah.
And I also want to add that those that these policies affect should be in the room.
That's true.
Should
Yeah.
be in the room when the policies are being created from conception stage. Listen
Bring
to
them
them.
into the conversation also, not just those on the very top making the decisions,
Yes.
and then the poor continue to remain poor because nobody is actually helping them to be lifted up.
I agree with you. Bring them into the room, speak with them, hear their part, engage them, because that will also help in whatever process or whatever policy, whatever rule you are trying to put in place. Overall, the Nigerian economy is not at its best place. I think it's important. There's no point sugarcoating it because we all know that. We all know that.
But there's hope.
Of course, there's always a silver lining in the cloud. And like you said, it is important to. We all know what is right. I don't think we are ignorant of what is right. Even our policymakers, I don't think they are ignorant of what is right. They know what is right. The power now is in the doing.
Exactly.
There's a lot of talk. We are talking now.
Yes, but there needs to be something that goes after the talking. There needs to be action and things like that. Yes. Because I think sometimes in Nigeria we take advantage of the fact that people can do anything, whereas if you go to other countries, there are actually consequences if you're not doing what is right. And I think at the end of the day, just doing what is right and that accountability matters a lot. Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Christiana. Do you have anything else you want to add?
I think, like you have said, I think what I want to add is, first, please, all young journalists out there, totally go for business journalism.
Totally repping the business
journalism. Totally go for business journalism, business niche. I bet you would enjoy it. It might look strange from the beginning, but you would enjoy it along the line. And please, let's keep on believing in Nigeria. I know it's hard. I really know it's hard, especially with whatever. Take for instance, what we had to go through because of Naira redesign. It was a difficult time, but don't lose that little bit of hope you have for Nigeria. That might just be what is keeping all of us going. Hope from Isioma, hope from Christiana, hope from Michael, hope from Henry. We string all of that together and we are moving. So let's all stay hopeful and please stay away from crime. Whatever you're doing, let it be legal and keep pushing. Keep pushing.
And let's buy made in Nigeria.
Buy made in Nigeria. I remember
you used to post your sister's stuff on Facebook. I don't think you do that anymore. I remember that something. You always wear her outfits.
Please.
Is she a designer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Buy her sister's.
VH Headline on Instagram. Please, this is me doing my advert for my sister's brand. VH Headline on Instagram, Nigerian made clothes and made with perfection and with so much love also. So please let's buy made in Nigeria to grow Nigeria.
Yeah, awesome. Nice to have you. Nice to see you again, Christiana.
Yes, good to see you.
Thanks for watching and I'll see you on my next video.
Yes, bye.